Hey, friend, it's great to be with you on this Church Tips podcast. And I got to tell you, I am pumped to be hanging out with my buddy George Westlake. He's the lead pastor of Sheffield Family Life Center up in Kansas City. And just been a good friend we were just calculating, 20, 21 years, something like that. Now, he knew my sister way back in the day when he was a college guy, but that meant he had no idea who Dick Hardy was. But anyway, it's great to hang out with you today, George. Thanks for slicing some time off to talk to us.
Hey, Dick, nice to be with you. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. You know, we were talking here recently about something that really has been stirring around inside you, and that is the circles of leadership that all of us as pastors and church leaders have in our lives. So I wonder if you could just give us a jump start on what that is as you're defining it.
Sure. Yeah. It's thank you so much. I'm an old guy now, so I'm going to put on my reading glasses. But it's I think I kind of break everything around us in leadership down to circles. And, how you treat different circles, how you view different circles around you determines a lot. And a lot of it actually ends up being how we're affected by people in these circles. And I've got it down to 6 circles. I think there are 6 circles in my little schematic. And feel free to jump in here anywhere you want, because you are Dick Hardy.
That's
and
right.
You do what you want anyway. So you don't need my permission. But the first circle would be the close family, and maybe a couple people. When I was in my 20s, everybody was my friend. Everybody was in my circle.
No.
Probably even early to mid 30s, everybody was in my circle. Now, I'm fortunate to even have enough to make up a circle. But so you got your family. You've got a couple close people that you have history with. History is so important with people because they understand how you feel and they consider your feelings. People who love you and have history with you will consider your feelings. So that's the first circle. I think we're all pretty clear on that. Then you have that second circle. And I think in leadership, this second circle is where a lot of leadership. Now, I'm not talking, obviously it can come from the first circle, from a spouse or children or things, but I'm talking more leadership things. This second circle is really where a lot of that deep betrayal happens. And I would say I've been betrayed many times and undermined and hurt, frustrated, and probably even thrown into a place of not being sure of my ability or my calling at some points, because this second circle is your team, your leaders, your staff, your key people. So these would be people around you that have influence. Some of them have positions. Some of them have influence. They get information that not everyone gets. They know a little bit more about you than other people know. They might have a little history. They might not. You are trusting of them. And oftentimes, Dick, what I've seen, and I'm sure you've seen it even more than I have because you're out there among the people, so many times in that second circle of people who are trusted leaders, partners, team members, you get an alliance there that begins to betray the leader. And you get that underground pipeline that starts feeding information back and forth. And maybe they're hiding in offices and meeting in offices, or they're going to lunch together, and everything looks copacetic, but it's really not. Right. And you start realizing in your spirit, there's something going on here. There's something happening. I know there is. But those people tend to sell you out more than they're willing to sell each other out. In that second circle, it's kind of strange to me that they've got this incredible loyalty to each other, but they lose their loyalty to you. Yeah. And you're the one that's actually signing their check. It's a bizarre thing. And I think the enemy confuses people and blinds people there. But that second circle brings a lot of deep betrayal and a lot of hurt and actually a lot of failure in ministry. I'm going to kick it back to you real quick because you probably have some thoughts on that or input.
Well, I don't know if this was where you would go with this, but you can see with your description there of that second circle, you could see why pastors begin to have family in that spot,
right?
because you mitigate an awful lot of that kind of thing,
You do.
because they are people you can trust. You can trust with your life.
Right. And one of the things that I've seen in myself, I'm not proud of it, or I guess I should say I'm not happy that it's this way, and I see it in a lot of other leaders. And I think the higher the level, the more common it is. Trust is a huge problem. I've got major trust issues. There are very few people I will sit down with and they say, "Oh, you can trust me," and I believe them because I've been betrayed and undermined so many times. And usually, when somebody who has that, they have enough information to be in a circle that knows a little bit about you, so they can make a lie sound really true.
Mm-hmm.
If someone were to say, "Yeah, Dick Hardy, he wears glasses, but they're not even prescription lenses. He just does it because he thinks he looks better in glasses."
Yeah.
Well, there's no truth to that.
Right.
But because I have a relationship with you, I can tell somebody and they say, "Oh, really? I didn't know that about you." Yeah, it's true. Yeah. It's true. And his wife gets really mad at him every time he wears them. So they have enough information to make the lie sound very believable.
And I would interject in here too. This is not exclusive to ministry.
No.
You've got people, particularly high capacity people in your churches, that face these very same kind of things in their orb. They're facing this, and you can look at a bunch of execs and you think they have the world by the tail, but they're dealing with trust issues around their table as well.
Absolutely.
And we have a role and responsibility, or I'm going to say privilege, to help them come along, to really maneuver through this to get to the best place for them as well. So
right. Yeah. So it is very common. As a matter of fact, I just met with a guy this morning who is a high level leader in our city, and he deals with the exact same things. Yep. And it creates a lot of problem in leadership. The third circle would be one of people who serve. This is, in regard to a church, people who serve. Your church is their home. They're committed to your church. They have some investment. They're probably givers. They have buy-in. Like I said, they probably serve in some capacity. Their church, your church. And there can be a lot of personal offense in this group, because oftentimes in this group, in this circle, is where you get the, when I was a kid, we used to pull petals off a flower and say, "She loves me not, she loves me." That's kind of how it goes with this circle, this third circle, because you have these department heads, these teachers, the volunteers, people who work as greeters in parking lot. They may work in the music department or the education department, the children's department, and this week they love you, this month they love you, next month they don't, and you think, okay, yeah, that's my guy.
I thought I was the only one that dealt with that. You mean? Well,
yeah, I'm trying to be empathetic toward you. Yeah. I've never really dealt with it, but. Yeah, they love me not. They will tell you, you're the greatest pastor ever. I've been to 3 other churches. This is the most incredible church. I love being involved. All my needs are met here spiritually. Every time you preach, it seems like you're talking to me. And then 2 months later, them and everybody else working in that department thinks you don't know anything. You can't do anything. Right. This guy, he doesn't preach the word. All he does is tell stories. None of it's affecting me. And this is the worst church I've ever been to. I've been to 3 churches. This is the worst one I've ever been to. So it's kind of that circle where you get that hurt, and I think it affects our self-image. Because one of the things I had to do, Dick, and it's part of growing up in life, but it's part of growing up as a leader, is I had to get to a point where somehow I didn't take everything personally. Every bad thing somebody said, because, I'm a guy, I'm old school enough to believe that if there's a problem in the system, ultimately it's my fault. If there's a problem here, if there's a problem there, eventually it comes to my desk and I'm responsible. So everything is somehow connected to me. Right. So if there's a problem anywhere, somewhere, it's my fault. And I think because of that, and I think a lot of leaders feel that way, that, yes, I'm responsible for everything ultimately. Because of that, we take it personally, and if somebody doesn't like this, if somebody doesn't like the color of the paint, we get the concrete floor stain, and they like the carpet better. They didn't love one message, they didn't respond the way we thought. That we get offended, and I did that for years and years and years. I would say it's only the last 4 or 5 years that I've gotten to a place where I am not personally offended by complaints, because it's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not all my fault, even though I'm responsible. It's not all my fault, and it's not all because of me. There are actually people who don't like something, and it's not tied to me. And so, but we get a lot of hurt from that circle, because these people are involved. They know us. They're here. They're part of our family, and they have complaints. The fourth circle is.
Hey, hang on a second, George.
Yes, sir.
On that third circle, do you see these people bailing on you, or do they just begin to grouse about things? Or
they begin to grouse. The bailers would be in the next circle for me.
Okay.
Because the third circle would be people who actually have buy-in. This is their church. Yeah. It's not just it's their church. They've got buy-in. Fourth circle would be consistent or somewhat non-consistent attenders. They're in, they're out. They serve here, then they're gone. They serve here, they're around. When they hear something bad, they talk about leaving. They go from ministry to ministry. We've got people who have served in 5 different ministries, 6 different ministries, and they do the same thing. Their pattern is the same. They'll serve for 6 months, and then they bail out. And eventually they're going to do that on the whole church. So, you learn to have a relationship with these people. You put a little bit of trust in them, but they're casual. They're casual, and they'll find a reason to leave. They'll find a reason to complain. They'll find a reason not to like something. They'll find a reason to leave. For those people, I think for this fourth circle, and it doesn't hurt as bad as the third circle, because we didn't have a lot of stock in them. We hoped for the best. We didn't expect, everything to be great, but we hoped. And, for this circle, I think we just say, hey, blessings on you. I bless you. I can't tell you how many people that I've said, I bless you. I bless you in your leaving.
Right.
I hope you find the church that meets your needs. I hope you find what you're looking for. I am not offended. We bless you. That's kind of that fourth circle, because they're in and out, and you kind of have the gut feeling the whole time that they're not long-termers. They're not going to buy in. No, they're not. They're not going to ride this out. This is not their church, period. Fifth circle would be people who like your church. They like it. Yeah, I like this church. I've been here several times. I come once in a while. Or as I see, I meet people and say, oh, yeah, we go to your church. Well, they come once every 3 to 6 months, and they call it their church, and that's good. I'm glad they do. But they say, yeah, we like your church. They call it theirs perhaps, but there's really no investment. They may throw, a $5 bill, a $20 bill in the offering or something, or, pay, tithe online one time or something, but there's not a lot of buy-in. There's not a lot of investment there, and they could be MIA anytime. These are the people who they say, I think I'm going to start coming here. I've got several family members I want to bring, some people I work with, and they need to see this, and then they're gone. Then they show up 6 months later, and then they're gone again. That fifth circle doesn't bother us a whole lot. I want to get to the sixth circle. This is my last one. This sixth circle. This is a very distant circle from what really matters, but this one can really cause us problems and cause us a lot of pain. And this is the circle of other people, outsiders, people who do not go to your church. They may come for an event. They may drop in for an Easter or a Christmas special, or if you have a concert or a dramatic presentation, or a conference at your church. They may come in there. They're outsiders, but more than anything, they're competitors. They're competitors. They might be even other pastors. They're other leaders. They're leaders at other churches, and this is kind of the place where people hear things. Oh, yeah, I've heard things about your church. I hear things about your church. I've read things about your church. I have a friend that went there and they said this. I have a friend that saw this or heard this or read this, and they're not really a part of it, and they really don't know much. But it's ironic, Dick, that these people that are so disconnected can cause us such deep problems.
Mm-hmm.
As actually, people outside of our circles of influence, because the first 5 are kind of somewhat influential. They're factors in what we do. The 6th circle, they're not really even a factor, but they interject themselves, and because of their desire, or maybe their just innate quality of disruption, they become a problem for your church.
Right.
We've all had competitors. For me, it would be pastors, other pastors that talk bad about your church. They say things about your church that aren't true. People around them start saying things. This stuff gets back to you. It gets back to you as a leader, and you're saying, I've never even. It happened to me yesterday. I had to tell a guy, I have never even had a conversation with that person about this, ever.
Right.
But they're saying things, and people are believing them because they're in the same business and they appear to know. So
the power of the tongue.
Yes.
I mean, Scripture talks so plainly about it and the damage it can do. So, anyway.
Yeah, it's it's you, and it's frustrating as a leader. It's frustrating for any of us as a leader, because we want to be strong enough. We want to be stable enough. We want to be secure enough that we can take some shots and they don't hurt us. They don't weaken us. But, we're all frail. We're all emotional people. We're all easily hurt. And, one of the things that's kind of amusing, and this fits in several of these circles, and probably more in the third, fourth, and fifth circle. And I've had people say things to me like this. They'll say, well, you know what? I love the way I love you. I love you. I don't love the way you preach. I don't love the way you dress. I don't love the way your church functions. I don't like the way you do worship. I don't like the way you have the lights set in the auditorium, but I love you. And I will say, you know what? Here's the deal. If you don't like anything about me, you don't like me.
Right.
You don't. You can't tell me I hate your clothes, I hate your car, I hate your house, I hate your family, but I love you. No, you don't. No, you don't. And Christians try to pull that off because they think they can play that. Yeah. Well, I love you. I love you in the Lord. No, you don't. You really don't.
Right. Well, listen, George, this has been phenomenal. And by the way, we're gonna put the show notes, kind of a synopsis of this, so that you can have it. But give us as we wrap this thing up, give us a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just rattle those off again, the bullet points there of them. Would you do that for us, please?
Surely. Yep. It's the first circle would be close family and a few trusted friends. Okay. A few trusted friends. Second circle would be your team, leaders, staff, key people around you that have influence and that you're willing to invest in. The third circle would be people who serve. Your church is their church. This is their church home. They have buy-in. They have investment. We are in it. We believe it. We're in the journey with you. This is our church. They probably even serve in some areas, and they know a little bit more about you. They've probably been around you in meetings, in pep talks, maybe pre-service, post-service, other things. They've been around you. They have some insight into who you are in your life. They have buy-in. That's that third circle. So we know, they end up having some influence and are quasi in and out of your life as an individual. Fourth circle would be consistent and non-consistent attenders, the casual investors. They have some investment. This is their church. They would say, yeah, this is my church. I do have some investment here. I'm hit and miss. I'll be involved for a little while. I won't be. I'm not going to leave unless God tells. This is one of the lines the people in this fourth circle say a lot. I'm not leaving. People are trying to get me to leave. They've told me I should leave, trying to get me to go to another church. I'm not leaving unless God tells me. Well, ultimately, these people end up kind of kind of floating on that. The fifth circle is people who like your church. They might even call it their church, but there's no real investment. They're not involved. They're probably not buying into missions projects. They're probably not tithing a whole lot. They're not buying into all of that, even though they would say, yes, this is my church. This is my church. And, they go missing a lot. Yeah, I haven't seen that guy that was used to sit right here. They were here for like 4 or 5 months. I haven't seen them in a year. Well, and then they disappear, then they kind of come back. That's that fifth circle. They're not connected, but they like your church. The sixth one is the one with people who are not part of your church. It would be other people, outsiders, competitors, maybe even other people who do what you do that have not signed the non-compete, and so they will, they'll say whatever they want. They'll cast stones if there's something they don't like. Sometimes they will act like they've had conversations with you they haven't had, or sometimes they'll say, "Hey, yeah, we're really close friends." I've had people tell me, "Yeah, this guy told me I talked to him. He told me he's a really good friend of yours." And I'm thinking, I don't think we've ever spoken, but I don't always say that because it's not healthy, but yeah, I'm thinking that. So that's that sixth circle that can cause us a lot of pain, but really doesn't even have a stake in our life.
Yeah. That's so good, George. Thank you so much for going through those with us. Give us a parting shot here. Okay. If a pastor who's listening to this, they're tuned in, they're tracking, what do you want them to hear from our discussion here today?
I think the hard lesson to learn, I will say for me, has been, I'm getting better at it. I haven't perfected it much better than I used to be, is we need to try to learn from everything. We learn from everything, even the bad things, even when people say things that are bad, even when people say things that we think aren't remotely true. What can I learn from that? When somebody tells me something that lets me know they really don't know me at all, they just think they do. Okay, but somewhere I'm putting off that persona. Maybe that's what I'm giving off. Maybe that's what I'm radiating. I don't know. So, I would say bottom line is, try to allow everything to be a learning point, and and that requires a lot of strength, a lot of personal security. It does, but we can do that, and it helps in the long run. Yeah, so good, so good. Wow, thanks very much, George, for really taking time to hang out with me on this, and our pastors and church leaders. It really has been a great privilege to be with you. For those of you watching and listening, it would be very helpful to us if you would, wherever you subscribe to your podcast, first subscribe to the Church Tips podcast, but secondly, rate and review. That helps us get the message out to more and more people, and we would be very, very grateful for it. So, George, thanks again so much. Thanks, friend.
And to the listeners and viewers, it's been great to be with you today. Make it a great one, and be blessed.
Hey, Jonathan here, real quick before you go. Everything in your ministry rises and falls on your leadership. So investing in your leadership is essential to staying healthy and growing the ministry. And that's why I want to invite you to join us inside the Leaders.Church membership. This online streaming service for pastors gives you access to more than 300 videos plus training material to level up your leadership and improve your ministry skills. If you'd like to do that, I want to invite you to go to Leaders.Church/boost. Again, that's Leaders.Church/boost. Well, thanks again for joining us on the Church Tips podcast. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.